I see Daryl's here. Robert. Hi.
Hey, sorry, I forgot I needed to click and accept the microphone.
We're just waiting for Mr. Waters. Hi, Jonathan. You're mute.
Hello, Vice Mayor.
Hi. What picture is that? The Beatles that you have up there, Jonathan?
Yes, some artwork from one of our high school students.
Very nice.
Amy picked it up for a bargain.
That's my generation. I remember when they came on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Yeah, black and white.
Many years ago. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock. Anybody hear from Mr. Waters? Sometimes he has trouble getting on. Wait.
He requested the link earlier and it was sent. I'm not sure if he's having an issue or not.
Okay, well, we'll wait a few minutes. Sometimes he does, I think. Hi, Dave.
Hello, Ms. Cunningham. How you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Wonderful.
I love your background picture there.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a good shot, isn't it?
Yep. I'm jealous.
That weather's pretty good. We'll get some bad weather tomorrow, but that's all over the state, I guess.
Oh, well. That's what tequila's for. That's margaritas.
Yeah.
Just a gentle reminder to everyone that we are live.
Thank you.
I like the gentle reminder. Thank you.
Well, let me see, what time is it? It's 6:02. I'm waiting for another minute or so for Mr. Waters. Tina, when did he send his request for a link?
Oh, 5:45.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start. Hopefully he'll come on pretty soon here. Let's call the October 27th finance meeting to order. Note that Alderman Woodcock and the chairman is here at the meeting waiting for Mr. Waters. Hopefully he'll come in soon. The first item is let's accept the agenda. Do I hear a motion to accept the agenda as written?
So moved.
And I second that. All in favor, Daryl?
Aye.
And I'm aye. Okay, so that is our agenda. The first item on our agenda is to accept the meeting minutes of September 22nd. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
And I second that. And all in favor, oh, wait a minute. You can't vote on that though, Daryl.
I think I can.
Oh, you can you? Okay, good. Okay.
I would have, if Jim was here, I would have stayed, but just to keep things flowing.
Yeah, just keep it going. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Okay, Daryl,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, so we have accepted the minutes of the September 22nd meeting. Okay, first item under ordinances, we have ordinance 2020-43, an ordinance amending budget ordinance 2020-20 by appropriating funds from the general fund and the hotel lodging tax reserve fund balance. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
And I second. Discussion. Andy's on, right?
And I don't necessarily have questions, but I saw a reply from Andy and I wasn't sure if this was the item that he was answering your questions on. I couldn't open his email. So I'd be curious to, see what that was about, if it was this item.
This was you talking about where the vice mayor asked me a question earlier today?
Yeah, I had an issue with my computer, so all I could see was that you had answered her questions, but I couldn't open the email. So
Her question was revolving around the inline hockey.
Yeah, that was that big
capital
project.
outlay note.
The three different. I didn't even see the email for the answer, Andy. I guess you answered me.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay, that's not on our finance agenda.
yeah, it's fine. Like I said, I couldn't open it, so I didn't know what he
Yeah.
was answering. So I just want to make sure there's nothing I was missing, but I have no questions at this time about this item.
Okay, thank you. Andy, did you want to have any comment on this? Because I don't have a question either.
I'm good if you're good.
Okay.
I was hoping the email I sent with about all these would help speed things up tonight.
Yeah, and it did. It did.
And I
Okay.
appreciate those emails. Those are amazing.
Mhm.
Thank
Ditto. Okay, let's take a vote then to accept or to recommend ordinance 2020-43. Daryl?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so that has been recommended unanimously. I don't see Mr. Waters on yet. Okay, ordinance 2020-44, an ordinance amending a budget ordinance 2020-20 by appropriating funds from the general fund and transferring additional funds from the Parks Department budget. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
And I second. Any discussion on that one?
No.
Okay. Let's take a vote. Daryl?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. So that has been recommended unanimously. Okay, next ordinance 2020-45, an ordinance amending budget ordinance 2020-20 by reallocating funds from the governor's local grant. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
And I second. Discussion. Questions?
Nope.
Or we're just reallocating funds on that one.
Right.
Okay, let's take a vote. Daryl?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, that one passed. Recommended unanimously. Okay, next one is ordinance 2020-46, an ordinance appropriating funds to purchase golf carts for the Parks Department. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
And I will second that. Any discussion?
This one will go to BOMA tonight also, along with resolution 2020-66. And you will hear an amendment to this ordinance to put in language that says if the bids come back too high to purchase, that we will use these funds to refurbish the ones we're getting from Country Hills.
Okay, so this is just so I understand it, because I'm pretty sure I do, but maybe I don't. This is the excess, not the $9,443 was the amount that we saved on the purchase of the Country Hills new golf carts. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay, and then we're going to apply that to to purchasing golf
Yeah.
carts for the Parks Department. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Our original plan was that they were going to give us 6, and we thought the bids would come in over 175,000, but they did not. So we're going to see if we can get the same good price by trading in those 6 and take this 9,000 with it, and see if we can get newer ones instead of older ones.
Okay, so you're going to get 6 of them, Andy, 6 new ones or more than that?
Up to 6, no more than 6.
Okay, so however that's going to stretch those dollars, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then if it's a little bit more, you have funds in your budget to cover that?
Yes, ma'am. We would.
Okay, so, all right. Daryl, do you have any questions? Anybody
No.
else? Okay, let's vote on accepting ordinance 2020-46 to recommend that. Do I hear Daryl?
Aye.
And I'm an aye for that too.
Mr.
Okay.
Waters is here, it looks like. I
Oh,
think
Mr. Waters?
Yes,
Okay, we're on resolution 2020-60.
okay, I'm with you. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I waited a few minutes. I'm sorry I didn't wait long enough for you to get on.
That's okay. I'm having trouble again. It's okay.
Okay,
I think I'm still sideways on the picture.
I see the top of your head.
Yeah, I don't think it's changed.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, resolution 2020-60, a resolution to apply for a healthy built environment grant from the state of Tennessee Department of Health. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Okay, discussion. How much of a grant is this, Andy?
The grant from the state would be 85,000.
85,000? Okay. Do we have to pitch in any?
Our part would be to repave the old inline rinks at Sanders Ferry Park, approximately 15,000 square feet of one layer of asphalt.
Okay. Do we have to put forth any kind of match to this?
That would be our match to repave.
Oh,
them.
okay. All right. All right. Any other questions? Okay, let's take a vote to recommend resolution 2020-60. Mr. Waters,
aye.
Daryl,
Aye.
and I am an aye. Okay, that was recommended unanimously. Next resolution is resolution 2020-66, a resolution of the governing body of the city of Hendersonville, Tennessee, authorizing the issuance, sale, and payment of non-interest bearing capital outlay note not to exceed $75,000, and this is for the golf carts. Do I hear a motion?
So move.
Second.
Okay, discussion? No comments? Okay, let's vote. Vote on resolution 2020-66. Mr. Waters,
Aye.
Daryl,
Aye.
and I am a no. Okay. All right, next on the agenda is resolution, oh, wait a minute. Okay, sorry. Resolution 2020-67, a resolution to adopt a fund balance policy for the city of Hendersonville. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Okay, discussion. Robert, I'm going to give you the floor for the discussion on this. I talked to Robert about this in detail, also talked to Gary Jekyll about how we're going to go about doing this. And in the discussion, if you remember several years ago, we did pass some type of we did pass a resolution trying to establish a higher fund balance. And Robert, if you could put that up, that resolution, and then we can discuss this one at the same time.
Sure. Let me share my screen. Okay. Let me zoom in a little bit here.
Perfect.
The wrong resolution though. Let me open up the right one. How apologize.
Oh, that's the wrong one.
I'm having
Oh,
trouble.
no,
Since
wait a
you got-
minute.
This is the current,
That's the current one
and we should see,
from 2017. Yeah.
yeah, this, you should see resolution 2017-27 in front of you now. Please let me know if you don't, but, it should
If you could zoom down a little, yeah, that's the one. That's the big paragraph. Okay.
be yeah, should be in front of you. This resolution obviously passed back in 2017 was to promote an increase the fund balance to a more, as the language says, a more appropriate reserve balance through fiscal year 2021. Not only with this resolution expiring, it's not necessarily a policy in place that that the comptroller has, through our most recent budget process, has recommended that we adopt a formal policy and has gave some guidelines as to what should be in it. One of the items that the comptroller mentioned, and they did acknowledge this resolution, and part of their comments, sort of mentioned falling a little short of the $6 million goal, but more so than that, the comments also requested that, or recommended that we adopt a policy that will allow us to go 2 months with operating expenditures. That's 16% or so of operating expenditures. So that amount estimated, depending on what our budget is currently versus what it will be next year, obviously can change year to year, but we should be hovering somewhere around $8 to $10 million, whereas operating expenditures can be somewhere between 40, 42, 45. We're consistently seeing a little less than 45, but we're consistently seeing in the lower 40s each year. That would be, that would be a 20% is what is, if you're ready for me, Arlene, I'll swap back over to the.
Okay, I have a real quick question before you take this slide off.
Sure.
The goal for 2020 was 5.750 million.
Right.
What did our actual come in at for fiscal year 2020? Do you
Around
know that number yet?
4.2 million.
4.2. So we're 1.5 million off
That's correct.
of our of what we wanted to shoot for
Well,
based on this resolution, right?
I apologize. We began 2020 with 4.2 million. So when you're budgeting for fiscal year 20, what we ended at, we'll know
Yeah.
next month or so when the audit's complete. But
Do you have any idea what that might be, Robert? Just an estimate. I mean, I'm not going to hold you to it.
with some of the last late changes in spending and trying to hold back and not sure how we were going to do with COVID-19, a lot of expenditures were held, and a lot of paving and a lot of, everybody made sacrifices, but that ended up a little more than 5 million. But generally, we would not have seen. I would have estimated a little lower than that. But I think at 5.2 is what we were looking at, I believe.
So we're about $500,000 off of what our wish with this resolution was.
I would say about 800,000. We should have been shooting for about 6 million for fiscal year 2021. The way I read this is $6 million to begin this fiscal year. So we would have been about 800,000 shy of that.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So it's not as bad as I thought it was.
Right. No, certainly not far off the mark here, but if you have any other questions about this, I'd be happy to take them before I swap over.
I don't have any more. Daryl or Mr. Waters?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
So swapping back over, the general language of the resolution is referring to a policy that should be immediately following. The format may be, you may recognize a lot of cities. Matter of fact, I can list off a few. I can show them up here, actually. Jackson, Clarksville, Franklin, Brentwood. We've looked at many cities, and they've kind of adopted the same template. This is a template that MTAS has put out for us. This is a template that is nationally been put out for maintaining fund balance, and with some variations, making it city specific to Hendersonville. We've kind of taken what they've generally done our best to make it specific here. And one of the things that we consistently see, I hope not to jump around too much, but I will get to the meat that will really be what everyone will want to take away from this, which is the minimum level of unassigned fund balance. There are other parts to this, but this is the one that really will be impacting the board's actions going forward. That maintaining a 20%, it has been the lowest I've found from other municipalities. And that's kind of where my number came from earlier when I said operating expenditures were generally between 40 and 45. I can see us growing at a pretty significant rate, but that looks to be between 8 and 9 million right now. Shooting for 6 is would be a great goal for the end of this. Certainly don't believe that we will have 20% by the end of this year. But with having that been said, that there obviously this is a working document and certainly want the board to weigh in, but I think the next 2 paragraphs really speak to that and where we're going, in that when we do plan a budget in at the end of this fiscal year, when that budget is approved, I think that's where we would fall into the next 2 categories, which is the appropriate parties, including the board, finance committee, the city administrator, and the finance director would get together on something very similar to the resolution we just referenced, trying to get a plan together to replenish. So I think that's would be a great step to say that adopting this now is our guide for the future. And then when we do adopt a budget, if it were to increase our balance, but not quite enough, we will then put a plan in place to replenish. I'll stop there for a moment to see if anybody has any questions that I can help with, try and answer before I move on.
I have a question.
Sure.
In that second sentence under the minimum level of unassigned balance, yeah, that one, does it says 2/3 of the vote of the city's governing body. Is that going to be like a separate amendment to the budget that we have to vote on in order to pass it if it falls, if the general fund falls, or the projected general fund falls below the 20%?
So
Is that what that's meant to do?
if I'm hearing you correctly, yes, I think that that reference, if I understand your question correctly, I think you're saying that any amendment to our proposed budget, aka the one we're currently in as well, would require 2/3 vote if any amendment is dropping our budget below the balance. And of course, being below the balance already, the minimum balance, that would require any budget ordinance amendment going forward for this fiscal year as well.
So that's going to set the bar pretty high from the beginning.
Sure.
Now I know we discussed this previously about the state comptroller's office recommending 2 months worth of operating expenses.
Correct.
As our target goal.
Right.
And being that we're still in the middle of a problem here with the pandemic and all that, is there anything built into this? And I see 2 years there in the last sentence.
Right.
So does that mean that doesn't go into effect until 2 years from now, or are we trying to get it into effect immediately with this year's budget or next year's budget?
The comptroller has recommended that we adopt one immediately.
Okay,
But with that last paragraph is really related to us getting a plan together that will replenish it within the next 2 years. So I think when the policy, whatever is adopted, whatever language we adopt, when that goes into effect, which would be upon passage by the board, we would then follow up with a resolution similar to the one we just spoke about, trying to replenish it within the next 2 years. Like I said, in the next budget, prep would be a perfect time to have those discussions and try and plan to replenish it within 2 years of that point.
so the next budget discussions would be for the 2022 budget.
Correct.
And is that when we're going to actually apply this?
I would recommend applying it currently. I think that your comments are very accurate about there being a pandemic. And I think if anything, that just tells us why we need something like this and why we need to be working towards a healthier fund balance so that we can take hits like that, or we can weather the storm far greater and not have to kind of take that day by day, month by month, and have.
Oh, I totally agree. I totally agree. And I think this is so important
Right.
for the protection of our credit rating, for our city, for multiple things.
But to your point, I would think that would be the appropriate time during the next budget to discuss our plan of replenishing going forward.
Okay. All right. That's all questions I have. Daryl or Mr. Waters?
Yeah, I've got a couple of quick questions. So the 2/3 vote, that's only to amend a future budget, or if we, well, I guess not me, but you guys, during the next budget process, if the fund balance is below 20%, will it require a 2/3 vote to approve the budget if below that threshold?
The way that it's written, it wouldn't require a 2/3 vote to approve a budget, just the amendments to the budget.
Can that be changed?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is not, this is recommended and very common best practice language as trying to take the best of all cities and put it together. However, absolutely can be changed to what the board sees fit.
Yeah, because as we saw with the 2017 resolution, it really means nothing because 7 votes can change anything and approve anything. And as we've seen the last several years, I mean, think of how many votes were simple majority that, probably shouldn't have happened from a financial reason. And so that 2/3 vote actually gives this some teeth. So I would make the amendment that not only are amendments required a 2/3 vote, but any budget that does not meet these thresholds must also have a 2/3 vote for approval.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a formal amendment that I would like to make.
Okay. Daryl's made the amendment. I'll second that amendment. I'll second that. Any more discussion? Mr. Waters, did you want to weigh in?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Robert, did you want to add anything to
What,
that?
you want to vote on that amendment?
Yes. Yes.
Aye.
Let's vote on the amendment. Daryl,
Aye.
Mr. Waters,
Aye.
and I'm an aye.
And
Okay,
my
so
last thing. So like, I absolutely love this. Most of my decisions on some of these larger items have been from my financial background, and it's great that we actually have something in place, or potentially we'll have something in place to improve our city's financial shape. We have gotten very lucky for several years. And so not only am I very appreciative of the sponsor and the staff for making this, but if it's no issue with anyone else, I would love to be a co-sponsor of this if possible.
oh, sure. Absolutely, Daryl.
Thank you.
So
Good
that'll
job.
be, so Daryl and myself will be the sponsors of this.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we're going to bring this up tonight at BOMA.
I think it's on the next. I think.
Is it on this
unless-
agenda or the next one?
I believe it's going to be on the next agenda. It hasn't been put on tonight. I wanted to make sure that pending any action by the Finance Committee, I could send this to the entire board and give them some time to review but you know. it's certain-
Okay. So that'll be, so Daryl, you're going to be up there next meeting too.
Yeah, I mean, technically, we have 2 more meetings, so
Sure.
it should be fun.
Okay, very good. So let's, oh, wait a minute, I lost my place now. Let's move on. Oh, that was it. Now we have the other business.
We didn't vote on this. We only voted on the amendment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am so
We need
sorry.
to vote. We need to vote on this.
Yes, thank you, committee. My
That's okay.
bad.
That's okay.
Okay, let's vote on resolution 2020-67, a resolution to adopt a general fund balance policy. Daryl,
Aye.
Mr. Waters,
Aye.
and I'm an aye, and that has passed unanimously for recommendation. Okay, Robert, you have the floor for the other business, sales tax, motel, hotel tax, cash flow, and stormwater report.
Right. So for sale tax, good news once again, and hope that good news keeps coming.
Yeah.
Oh, that looks wonderful.
My Lord. We're hovering in that 1.2 range, but
Did I mute myself?
sorry.
Oh, okay. I thought I muted myself. Sorry.
You're good. Year over year, we're up over $106,000, and that's a 10% increase over last year.
Yeah, great. That's great.
It is. That puts us at a projected, against what we budgeted, that puts us at projecting about 15%, as you can see, 15.16% over our projections. Obviously, I've said it every committee, but that 12 million was anticipating somewhat of a hit for COVID-19, and it certainly does not appear to be stopping anytime soon. So that's great news to have here. Outside of that, for the entirety of the year, almost $360,000 over where we were last year as a total. So
Should I say a prayer? Should I say, thank you, Lord?
right. Certainly, the way we were headed was positive to begin with at the end of last fiscal year. It's not positive, excuse me. We were down a little bit, but it certainly was.
Just a little.
Exactly. It was something to be hopeful for. And I never would have anticipated us starting the fiscal year off quite as high as we have, but that's a wonderful sight. I'll pause there for any questions if anybody has any before I move on.
Just keep it going, son. Keep it going.
I don't know how much I've done, but I'm glad they're making my job a little easier.
Amen.
Hotel motel has slipped. This does not include. There is. We did receive a check a little bit late this month, but a few hundred more. So we're really in line with August of last month. It looks like we're receiving about $13,000 a month. Against the budget, it looks like we're going to be pretty close, right on the money of what we budgeted of around $150,000 at the end of the year. Maybe a little bit more than that. Crossing my fingers that sometime around the holidays, people are traveling. Hopefully they're traveling here and that we see a bit of an increase. But as of right now, still playing a little conservative on that and hoping that we'll hit our goal.
Still hasn't come back.
Not quite. But definitely, like I said, hovering in the same, we're getting the same amount of business, it looks like, each month. I'll move on here. this being the cash flow, I know these numbers are kind of small, but our staff has done, by that I mean all of City Hall has done a great job in not putting as much stress on our cash flow, on the bank balance, and I appreciate all departments helping us out there and doing the best they can to hold off on any major assets, any major projects until at least around the November, December time. I thought that my dog is playing with a toy and it's I'm trying to make sure you guys don't hear it squeaking all night. Outside of that, our bank balance in past years has been a little lower in October, November, and we've always had to worry about a tax anticipation notice. And since all the work from each department has helped us not have to worry about it. It certainly doesn't look like we will be worrying about that anytime soon. This is just general fund. You may notice that on this month, and I'm going to have one for stormwater as well, but we have the same for State Street Aid. And I think you guys can certainly understand how this one State Street Aid is going to run a lot like our general fund does, but stormwater is going to run a little different because the revenue heavily comes in with property tax. With State Street Aid, we if you'll remember, we passed I believe an ordinance back in April timeframe that allowed us to complete a few projects, which allowed us to pay one hefty bill around the August timeframe. So that's kind of why you see a major dip there. But the bank balance does tend to replenish over the winter months, and Rogers Group's been great with working on us on that. So this is generally how the State Street Aid bank balance goes. This is not out of the norm. But the only thing that isn't out of the norm, that is a little out of the norm, is we typically see it ending a little between 400,000 and 500,000. But we'll work on that. That's something that our departments work together well on. And if anybody has any questions here, I know it's the new document. I'm happy to take them.
What was that big paving bill? Is that what we paid in August?
Yes, in August we did have a large paving bill that encompassed multiple projects. I'm sure Marshall remembers everything from that. But so I certainly don't want to put him on the spot. However,
I can quote it. Just give me a chance.
Here's Marshall.
Marshall.
go right ahead.
We had several big paving projects that they had kind of got the bill kind of laid on, and that's what that was for. So,
gotcha. Yeah. They had quite a few. There was a budget amendment back in April timeframe that authorized a few extra projects, and so this is, like I said, is not out of the ordinary. We generally see larger bill for the summer sometime around August, September, October timeframe. Sometimes we pay it over multiple months, but we had the flow to do it. Okay, I will move on to stormwater for the time being. This is really just a summary. Have not hardly collected any. I'm sorry, I scrolled off. Have not hardly collected anything yet, but do anticipate collecting. We tend to collect the majority of stormwater in December, so we do expect that to go up. Speaking of, tax notices should be out in the next day or so, so we expect that to go up as soon as tax notices are out. The breakdown of expenditures, you can see that we have collected interest on the amount, but drainage projects at $250,000 and some professional services of around $22,000 to $23,000 spent year to date. And with that, that's really all I have for you guys today.
Yeah. Well, does anybody have anything else, committee? All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Mr. Waters, Daryl, do I hear a motion to adjourn? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Okay, I make a motion, we'll move. I make a motion, we'll adjourn. I'm sorry. I don't know where Darrell went.
I don't know, but I'll second your motion, Mr. Waters.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Daryl, let's take a vote. Daryl? Okay, I'll say that that's a yes.
Yeah, man, my phone's been really weird. It's like delayed.
Did you have anything you want to say? Anything before we adjourn, Daryl?
Yeah, I have a question. So I saw that Marshall is on here and we've got Robert. And so I want to take, since this is my last committee meeting, I wanted to make sure that the last project that I was working on that was not finished, the Laverne Circle, is there anything, Marshall, that I need to know about as far as funding before we wrap that project up next year?
No, we should be in good shape. Once we get the money in this year, we'll be able to start later in the spring. So.
Okay. All right. Like I said, I just want to take advantage of this last chance. It's been a pleasure. Thank the finance committee and finance department. It's been a pleasure working with you for the last 2 years, and you guys have a good rest of your evening.
Same here, Daryl.
Same to you, Darrell.
Okay, so Mr. Waters made a motion to adjourn and I seconded it. Let's vote on it. Daryl?
Aye.
Mr. Waters?
Aye.
And I, and we are adjourned. Thank you, committee.